Welcome. I am Erin Pearson Mills, your favorite Las Vegas redhead realtor.
I'm Nick Aquino, co-founder of Aquino Capital Group and your local mortgage broker.
I am Edward Zart. I am a local real estate agent and a market analyst.
And this is Unlocking Las Vegas. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next podcast of Unlocking Las Vegas. I'm your favorite redhead realtor, Las Vegas, Erin Pearson Mills, and to my left, we have my wonderful son-in-law and market analyst, Edward Zart. And today's a very special day. It's like kind of a special week. I want to say happy birthday to my wonderful husband of almost 27 years, who is also our resident home inspector. More on that later. I think we should have him on as a special guest. The man behind the madness, I think would actually be really good.
Correct.
And congratulations to Edward. They just recently celebrated their 6-year anniversary.
6 months.
6 month. Oh, see, it feels like you've been in my life.
We've
for
been
6
together
years.
for 4.
Okay.
We've been together for like 4 or 5
How's
years.
the newlywed phase?
I'm doing laundry.
I like it. I like all those words.
I get stuck doing the laundry.
Now in Las Vegas here, we've got F1 coming up next week. We've got a lot to dive in on that. And the interest rates dropped slightly. But first we want to welcome our very, very special guest. Yay! Tony with 87 Movers. So Tony, you're a local mover in town.
Yep.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, we're licensed and insured, and we bring an excellent team over to your office or your residential place.
Now, because I've used you locally for my people that are moving and shaking. Do you guys move out of state? Like, how far do you guys go?
Yeah, so ideally we like to stay in the tri-state area, like Arizona, California, Utah, and that's within 1 or 2 weeks for notice. But if we go further than that, we go all the way to the East Coast. We're looking for at least a month's notice, so this way we could do it. And if we can't, we'll go and find a solution because we have relationships with all sorts of carriers in order to go and do a load up and find you the most economical and efficient way.
And I gotta tell everybody your Instagram handle because you're very entertaining. Not only do you show like how you pack everything, I really loved your wine glass video the other day. Like how you pack the and you're really interactive. And so your Instagram is not only informative, but it's really entertaining. So what is your handle?
Yeah, so it's at 87 Movers. So give us a follow on Instagram or TikTok.
He's good. He's worth
Facebook.
it. He's adorable because you guys, you're a husband and wife owner.
Yeah, we are. We're a small team. Got 8 guys that are mostly our family men, and they depend on us, and in turn, their family depend on them. So indirectly.
And you treat your clients like family.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do. It's all about relationships with us.
Now, the first time we ever met, I was so impressed because I actually had a couple that needed to move to Pahrump, and they had a baby grand piano, and you were like, that is what we specialize in. I was like, that's so crazy because in my career, I've only dealt with 2 baby grands. And so I was like, that's amazing. That was just like the spiritual beings bringing you to me because that was amazing. But one question, we've seen crazy things in the real estate industry. I mean, that's I should write a book on the crazy things I've seen. But what's the craziest thing maybe you've had to move or been asked to do?
So
have you ever walked in and like it's just like a mess and like you know what I'm saying, like spills everywhere? Like what have you seen?
Oh man, we don't take these jobs anymore. But
that's good.
I remember when we first started, we saw this house that was covered floor to ceiling, and it was so gross that we couldn't see the floor. It went up to our knees at the lowest point, and it went up to.
Well, you're really busy over there.
Yeah, so so we don't take these type of jobs anymore.
So they're like, come in and pack all of our crap.
So someone just woke up and said, I'm ready to move, even though it looked like a show on Hoarders. I looked to my guy Caleb on the left, looked to my guy Kenny on the right. I said, hey, we're not wearing bunny suits. We're not protected. And we're guaranteed for 4 hours. You guys want to do it? Are you down? We did it, and then we told the customer that we have other jobs that we need to do, but we don't take those type of jobs anymore. But it's one of those starting points, and now we're
at the beginning of your career that you're
Exactly.
like, I'll do anything, I'll take anything.
Yeah, exactly, and
live and learn.
And one of the things you need to be very careful about, whoever's going to home service companies, it's a great business model, but you need to be very careful for you and your guys. I almost stepped on a needle, and that happens in a poor neighborhood and a rich neighborhood too. So you got to be very
definitely.
And that happened in that hoarded house too. So they had additional problems that were besides the hoard. But we've also moved a sarcophagus as well, and
A what?
yes,
Sarcophagus.
so yeah, it's like what they have in Egyptian times, and
What is that?
it's like a
what
coffin.
they would. It's like a coffin, but
Yeah,
when they
but
would
for a
bury
mummy.
mummies and stuff in.
Yeah, for pharaohs and for
So
royalty.
you had to move a dead person. Was there a dead person in it? Was it like, did they have honey?
Probably
like
like a
Egyptian honey?
Halloween decoration.
Actually, it was a movie prop,
Oh, okay.
and that made sense because
What was it from? Like the Mummy, the Mummy, the Mummy,
the money.
the Rock movie.
Actually, this guy is a Hollywood producer, and he also was in
Oh.
Fast and Furious. So it's just something that he wanted as part of, and he really fooled us because we really thought it was a dead person. It was really, really freaking heavy, and we had to bring it downstairs. But
If you guys want to see a dead person, I took Aaron's son to the Zach Baggins Museum.
Yeah, no, I that was a hard pass for me.
I saw a decapitated head, a real one, and like 4 or 5 real skeletons. So
are you freaking serious? That's
it
not
was
okay.
very interesting. But
Was it worth it going to the Zach Baggins? Like, if you're into that type of thing, because
If
you
you're
guys,
into
you
it-
got the VIP pass. What did that include?
I mean, it was pretty fun. Like, we got to go down into a basement where satanic rituals and sacrifices were done.
No.
What?
We got to see a real decapitated head.
So wait, it's a real house. It's a house. It's in downtown. Like it's the
So it's
Sahara and the Strip, basically.
So it's a real house. It has its own story to it. So the creepy thing is like, I guess the family that lived there in like the 50s or in the 60s or something like that, the husband was really into the occult. And so like he would do a lot of, and he would, like, the kids would recall seeing him in like dark robes
Like
going
satanic
downstairs in the
ritual
basement
things.
and doing
Whoa.
satanic rituals. So not to totally steal your spotlight there, but if you're really interested in seeing a dead
Whenever
person,
they're ready to move, we'll have them call you.
yeah,
You can wrap
Yeah.
up, the pigs
it
floating
was.
in water and.
Oh,
I
well,
think we're gonna need to take a
like-
priest with us or something.
like they had a
That's it.
doll. They have the Peggy doll. So if you don't know the Peggy doll, it's
know.
the movie Annabelle is based on it. So the story goes that this doll is like the most haunted thing in the world.
And you
if-
can't look in the eyes, right?
You can't look into the eyes, and if you walk in, you have to go like "Hi, Peggy" or "Hello, Peggy," and then "Goodbye, Peggy." Otherwise, she'll like haunt your soul.
Peggy, you're so pretty.
And I guess like there are documented cases of people like having asthma attacks, heart attacks, passing out like after going into the room. I don't know. I mean, I'm an optimist, so on one hand,
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What?
You're
that
an
last
optimist.
line.
Why are you an optimist?
An optimist? Because like you want
in the years that I've known you.
you want to believe it, but it's like at the same time, are they fluffing it up for the sake of fluffing it up? Because at the end of the day, it's an experience. If you're going in there to have fun.
Like Disneyland, I'd rather
Yeah,
Disneyland.
Yeah, it's kind of not like Disneyland, but it's like, when you go to a museum and you want to see like cool things, like, back in December when I took Rocco and Isabel to the Peterson Museum for the Tesla exhibit, like you go to see things that you're not going to normally see, and the Zach Baggins Museum is the same thing. Like, I'm from Northwest Indiana. Big people in that type of haunted, demonic space know the Gary, Indiana story about the haunted house. So they're like, the stairs are there from that story. So there's things there for everybody. I saw some pretty disturbing things. They have the real ashes and bone fragments of Charles Manson.
No thanks.
What?
Ted Bundy's mask.
No.
Pass.
It gets pretty weird.
See, when I go to museums, I like to see crown jewels, like beautiful clothing.
No, it had Ted Bundy's it had Ted Bundy's one of Ted Bundy's masks. It had his glasses, and then it also had bone fragments
Now,
from.
I recall paying for this. Now, I paid about $80 for the VIP experience. What's the normal rate? Like, if you just want to go for a good time.
If you're a non-local, it's like $45. If you're a local, it's like $35.
So if you want to escape the F1, go to the Zach Baggins Museum.
Oh, don't even get.
We'll talk about the F1
We'll
in a
segue
little
to
bit.
that in
Well,
a second.
honestly.
Anyways, Tony, I do have one question for you. So you said you go across you'll go to the East Coast, right?
Right.
So like, if I wanted to move back to Indiana,
What
you
are
would help
what
me
are you,
move
what
back
are you
to Indiana.
dropping on me right now?
I'm not dropping anything. I'm just genuinely asking. Like, if I called you up and said I need my house packed up to go to Northwest Indiana, it's about 1,600 miles away.
Right.
Would you pack my house up and move me?
Absolutely, and we would most likely do a flat rate that we can be able to cover for all of our overhead and be able to cover for all the tariffs. And it's a good thing you're not headed westward because in California, it's actually the most expensive tariff state
To move
wow.
to,
to move to. And
which
in
is
fact,
why everybody's moving to Las Vegas.
well, you'll be surprised actually because we do many unloads. They're called partial jobs because we didn't go to California to retrieve them. They could be driving their own moving truck or have their pod and we unload them and that's something that we do at least 3 times per week.
Wow.
But believe it or not, we actually still see people moving to California and that happens at least once or twice a month.
I mean, of course.
And it's
It's-
weird.
it's
In
beautiful
August,
there.
we didn't see any people that we booked anyways are moving to California. But that's an oddity. Usually we see at least 1 or 2 every month.
Okay, for the people listening, so how do you price out a house to move? How does that work? What are your tiers?
Okay, so there's 2 things. We could do a partial or a full job. Partial jobs are majority of what we do because sometimes what we need is we're unloading into the house or we're loading up a freight trailer, loading up a pod. If it's a full job, it means that we're doing the loading, we're unloading, we're reassembling everything like locally or long distance wise.
So you put the tables back together and everything back, the beds back together.
Right, and we charge hourly because we're licensed and insured and we're looking at about $65 to $70 per hour. Each man is licensed and insured about that price. The truck is considered another man. And when it comes to long distance, it's based off of weight. But believe it or not, going to Gary, Indiana, going through all those states is actually still probably cheaper than going to California.
From here?
Yeah, because of how many.
Okay, so if they wanted to hire you, they're thinking, is it $75 per hour or $75
Right.
per man per hour?
Per man per hour.
Okay, so like if I have a giant house, so it really doesn't matter. If I'm like, hey, yeah, I'll just hire you, single you, it's gonna take you 10 hours. But if I hire 3 of you, it'll take you like 4.
Exactly. So
6 and 1/2 dozen, kind of.
It usually happens to be around the same amount, but during this slow season, we're extending an offer to everyone. It's only $480 for a 1-bedroom special. So you got to call us up. So this way we could discuss about what that entitles, but we must do it during weekdays because weekends we can't do it.
And with that price, do you include boxes, tape?
Materials.
Yes.
Materials. Well, yes, we do for all the shrink wrap and all of the. But boxes, no. But what if we go ahead and include boxes for your audience that mentions, hey, I saw you on Aaron's podcast.
I like
Right,
it.
there we go.
The Aaron and Edward show.
Now I have one question. So, because Isabel and I are talking about moving in like the next year or something. We want a bigger house.
Nope. But not to Gary, Indiana.
No.
Okay.
No. We just
I'm
want.
fine with that.
We want a bigger house.
Down the
So
street, closer to
if
mom.
I call you up
Right.
and let's say we pack. Well, let's say we haven't packed anything. You'll pack my entire house up. You'll move it and then unpack it. Obviously, you'll be compensated accordingly, but you'll do it.
Absolutely right. So majority of people don't ask us for the packing job, but if you do, we just have to see it in person. It's not something we could see on camera, even
So
though
you're more like, hey, everything should be in boxes, but you will like disassemble the beds
absolutely.
and stuff like that. But mostly everything should be in boxes. We'll load it, we'll get it there, we'll unload it, but we'll reassemble the big stuff.
No offense, but you're not touching my Legos. Like that's
Okay,
that's
well,
a
you're
fat,
a
yeah,
weirdo.
fat no.
You just have to take some hodgepodge.
You
and just
might-
like glue it up.
That's a sin
Oh.
on so many
See,
levels.
yeah. I agree
okay.
with you,
I only
yeah.
buy Lego. I don't
Yeah,
like
he's
assemble Lego.
he's a blockhead, and there's I'm saying it as
Oh,
a
I've
blockhead.
never been called that. and
That's
that may
really
be the most
good.
ingenious thing on the planet.
Blockhead.
man. You're such a nerd, but it's cool. I love it.
Hashtag blockhead. That's
Yeah.
that's a thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, so
We're
your
trademarking it. You can't trademark
blockhead's happening.
Is that gonna be your brand?
it. Yeah, no.
Yes.
Sure. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. So your socials is 87 movers.
It is. Yeah. Give
No
us a
dots,
follow.
no dashes. Give them a follow. If you wanted any sort of specials, just throw them a DM
Right.
and ask about anything. Aaron and Edward show. There you go. Unlocking Las Vegas. Tony, I know you're a busy guy. Like we had to pull you off the phone to sit down, but we thank you so much. We love using you for all of our clients. They love you. You're so nice and honest and respectable, and that's what I like.
Yeah, thanks, sir, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, me and my fiance Kathy, we've started this company in 2020, and we're very serious about it. That's why she quit her job as an accountant, and we're gonna bring out a wonderful team to you, and You won't get as confused by the other movers because we're blue and silver and we open 8 to 7. It's like our office hours and
Get
our
it?
birth year.
87 movers.
Right.
8 to 7.
Yep.
I like it.
That's a pretty big deal because most of the other moving companies I know of, they're like rarely ever open. So
Yeah. You'll actually get them on the phone. Well, thank you one more time. We love supporting, I like to call them mom and pop businesses, family owned businesses. And so give them a follow, you guys. You won't be sorry because it's very entertaining.
it is. I like seeing your parlays. They make me feel like I need to get back into sports betting.
Oh boy, you just
We're not going down that way.
You just talked about one of my sins.
Okay.
We all have one, right?
We all have one.
Well, okay, can you bet on the F1? Is that like a thing?
Is that-
I'm pretty
is
sure.
that something you can,
I have no
Probably.
idea.
I probably wouldn't bet on something I don't understand either.
I mean, I wouldn't personally bet on it, but I mean, you can bet on anything. I'm still of the opinion that Vegas needs to start, the casinos need to start betting on like the construction, like the
Yes!
over under
on when the cones are going to come down,
Like-
like on Decatur or whatever.
Like the I-15, like they said that they're supposed to be done in like
That'd be good.
like July of next year.
I support
like,
that.
Are you gonna take the under? Like they'll be done. Like the money line would be they're done right when they say. The under would be they finish early. The over would be they finish
That'd be
3
killer.
months. Like that would be something that's fun in my opinion. But
Now, I saw on the news this morning, I don't go to the strip like all the time, especially with this construction, but they were
No.
just saying, the walkways. We've got walkways all up and down the strip, right? And they're
Yeah.
trying to protect the people that have bought these astronomical tickets for the F1. So they were showing that they put this film, on basically the glass that go over the walkways. And, the camera guys out there and they're showing these poor people and they're like, trying to peek through the film. But that's the whole point of, blocking the view. And, okay, I get the safety. They don't want people to like throw stuff like over on the track or whatever. But I mean, I know it's our first year, and I know it's going through the city, and I know, that they're trying to bring all this money, but a big thing is that Europeans, when they go out to eat and stuff like that, tip is included. So when they come here to Las Vegas, I remember when I worked in restaurants as a kid, we had a big stamp in all the different languages to assist them to know that tip is not included. So what are the other things that you've heard of?
well, so not that I'm correcting you, but I'm gonna correct you
Go-
for a
no,
second.
all day long.
They don't tip in European countries. Like it's not even included. They don't tip. So like one thing that I know that a lot of things are doing like Uber is they're automatically increasing prices by like 15-20% to compensate for the lack of a tip from the Euro crowd that they are expecting.
Well, I heard that it's mostly at the airports, but is it literally up and down, across and sideways Vegas? Like, would it affect
lot
me if I wanted
yeah.
to Uber somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
It's for 3 days, for
Probably.
5 days, 7 days.
If you're an Uber driver in Las Vegas, you will probably be spending all of next weekend going to and from the Strip, and you will be compensated very well for it. In my opinion, I think that that's great. I think Uber drivers need to be compensated fairly. But what I'm not a fan of is that, us locals, if you're going to the Formula One, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't know very many that are, but if you are,
We're just not used to it. We're like kind of a NASCAR
Well,
community.
we have the big
aware of it.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I think F1's done a lot more to deter people from being intrigued into F1 than not. I mean, ticket prices are $1,500 for reasonable.
The bad seats.
I mean, now let me refer. Now they
That's
did.
more
op-
expensive than the boxing tickets.
Oh, it's
That's
terrible.
That's crazy. I
like
didn't know that. much.
they opened up these $200 seats for.
It was kind of a farce. I heard it on the news.
It was-
for locals.
Well, it's Thursday. It's for locals, but it's like Thursday and it's just a qualifying race. So, and it's like general admission. So you have to find your own seat. You have to do all of that. So it's like you're going to spend $200. Food's not included, nothing. So it's just the way that they've kind of set it up is just very.
It's for all the rich people that already follow F1.
Well, I mean, like they're expecting, people like millionaires and billionaires from across the pond to basically come to this thing. And F1 is very big in European countries, and that's great. But like, I mean, we're not going to be in town. Thankfully, we're going to Utah.
We are, go BYU.
But it's like we live semi-close to the Strip.
Well, here's the thing. We are getting on a plane Friday morning. And all the news channels are telling us to get to the airport 4 hours early. But hopefully, I'm thinking, since we are leaving Las Vegas, we're not entering Las Vegas, hopefully we don't have to get there at 5 a.m.
See, I'm an asshole, so I don't care if I have to be there 2 hours, 3 hours, or 30 minutes. I'll fight my way through TSA.
I would love to see that. I'm not related to you at that moment.
But actually, not a sponsorship, but just get a clear subscription. The best thing in the world. But
Isn't that the same as TSA? I gotta tell you.
it's TSA
No,
pre-check.
TSA pre-check. Right?
Okay, well, I gotta tell you, when we were going to Austin the other week, that line was longer than the regular people line.
Most of the time it is. Mm-hmm. But back to like F1, it's just been.
I'm hoping, okay, speaking of optimism, I'm hoping that it brings in tons of money, that it's really fun, it's quick. Well, it's not gonna be dry. I was gonna say quick and dry. It is gonna be rainy. So there's that too. Never rains in Vegas, but when it does,
No.
F1's here.
Well, here's the thing. When it rains in Vegas, people drive like it's F1 anyway.
There you
so
go. Ah.
That's a topic for a different day. But, they're putting screens up all over their strip. They're making it hard. Like, imagine just that's the weekend you're coming to Vegas. Like, you're not in
You
F1.
planned it a year
You
ago. You
planned
didn't
it,
even know.
You didn't know, and now
It's
you're
your
coming.
bachelorette weekend.
And it's like the Bellagio fountains. They have stands built into the fountain. The volcano at Treasure Island isn't working. They're not doing
like
that.
off right
It's
now.
like off. Well, I guess that they're saying they're never going to turn it back on.
I mean,
So it's like,
It's turning into Hard Rock after all, so I'm not really surprised.
hopefully you're just coming down to gamble,
hopefully, yeah. I mean, if you're just
go to the clubs.
As a local, and I say local loosely because I've only been here like 4 or 5 years.
We'll allow.
But as a local, it's just like, it's doing more harm than good. Like, I get it, you got to make your money, but
And it is the first year. I hopefully will, we'll work
it's
out the
probably
kinks.
going to be the last year too.
We'll see.
Everybody, I mean, you hear competing stories, but I've heard everything from it was 10 years, now it's 5 years, now it's 2 years, now it's 1 year, now it may not happen again, and who knows? In my opinion, it's just like you had all this time to plan it out, and it's still a shit show.
Well, we'll see how it goes. So one last thing I want to talk about now, just want to wish Nick, I hope you're feeling better. So our resident lender is not here today, and we were going to really dive into the interest rates a little bit. I know that they've softened a teeny tiny bit. So I've got, I have my new buyers, and they're actually locked in at, it has a 6 in front of it. So they've got great credit, and they're really, really smart because I have to tell you something. We went and saw 4 houses 2 days ago, and we get wrapped up and done. It was kind of like our to see where they wanted to be in town. And by the time I got home, so we're talking about a 35-minute drive, I had emails, texts, and voicemails from all 4 of the listing agents begging, how did your clients like it? We're willing to work with you. What do you need? Do you need closing costs? Like, the listing price can come down. And so I just, wanted to call them and say, you're so smart that you're shopping right now during the holidays when the interest rate is working out for them, even though they know that they can refinance, because they're honestly, I said, you're like the prom king and queen right now. People are begging you to buy their homes, and they're going to be negotiable. So I know at the end of the day, when they pick their home, we're going to get their closing costs covered, and we can negotiate on the price. So that's the one thing I had to say. What about you?
Well, I just pulled it up. Interest rates right now are at an average of 8.48%. That's, again,
Okay, but
average.
that's like a lovely figure that you can pull
Well,
out when you actually have a human being that
Yeah.
gets loaned up by an actual lender and determining on their credit score and everything.
There's so many deterring factors, and I'm not a lender, first and foremost, but I just know a lot about this crap. There's so many deterring factors that when you hear a friend, a colleague, whoever, if you're in the market of buying a home and they happen to have just recently bought one, and they tell you, oh, I just got an 8.1% or I just got a 7.9 or whatever, it's always important to understand that is what they got based on who they're working with, the lender. I usually...
And their credit score.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that goes back into it's based on
These
them.
national averages are...
Well, the national averages are
averages.
taking people with, I think the lowest you can do is 580 is taking people with 580 credit and 840 credit. So it's like, it averages out to be awful. But
Well, and here's the thing. Everybody that's purchasing right now is keeping their cash in the bank, because they're having the seller cover their closing costs,
Mm-hmm.
and the actual value of the home, they're locking in lower. So you can never change the price of that house. You can't, okay? But you can change your interest rates when you're ready to refinance.
Lower rate equals a higher price. Higher rates equal a lower price.
I mean, we can
So
talk until we're blue in the face about this all day long, which we probably will.
Decide what you want to pay. That's really, and Nick has said it multiple times, and I'll say it again. Buy when it's comfortable for you. Buy when you can make the mortgage work in your budget. Just stop complaining about interest rates. Hopefully they come down soon. Everybody will tell you that they have a crystal ball.
Nope.
We don't know. I don't know. I'd love to tell you this time next year we'll be at 5% and you can buy $1 million house for $6,800 a month, but
You'll also be competing with everybody that's been waiting for the 5%.
well, you'll also have to be outbidding people, and especially in like
Exactly.
Vegas,
And nobody's going to be
Not-
covering your closing costs then.
Well, not to beat a dead horse, but you're also gonna have to be dealing with people, California cash.
Yes.
All the
Oh,
people
the
that,
cash.
are downsizing, quote unquote downsizing, and they're getting a bigger house for less money, so they have $200,000-$300,000
Which
to
is
throw at a down
hilarious
payment.
because they don't have to worry about the interest rates.
But
It's just when the supply is up a little bit more.
it's the law of
That's one
supply
really,
and
really
demand.
good point.
Everybody
So,
needs
I
to
got
take
a
a
question for you
economic
guys
class.
in regards to that. I mean, is it better for a buyer to ask for taking money off of the closing cost? I mean, is it better to ask for a reduction in the price of the home itself, or is it better to
Ask for closing costs.
Closing costs. And I'll tell you why.
Why is that?
So if you're going to get $10,000, you have a choice. You have $10,000 to play with.
Okay.
If you take it off the cost of the home, you might get, I'm just averaging here, about $75 off your monthly mortgage payment.
Okay.
Okay? If you take the same $10,000 and you buy down your rate, you're gonna be saving hundreds of dollars.
Okay.
Or if you take that same $10,000, you don't have to empty your bank account and you can refinance later. Okay? So it depends on if you need that money to buy furniture, to upgrade your home, to paint your house.
Start your business here.
Exactly. So it does depend on every single person, but it's much smarter to cover your closing costs or buy down the rate than to take that $10,000 off the top of the house.
Okay.
It's like, and this segues into the next thing that we're going to talk about, but it's like buying a car. If for every $1,000 you make as a down payment, it's only going to affect your monthly payment by like $25 or something like that. So it's always better to put down like the minimum and then try to get, it covered on the back end with a lower rate. Just makes life so much easier.
Well, I actually want to dive in on our next podcast fully, if you agree or disagree about electric cars. Both me and Edward, we went viral this week because we happen to be on podcasts talking about the differences between having an electric car or not having an electric car. And I mean, that's why it went viral, because it's such a big topic, and it's an entire podcast, and you know what? It works for me. I love my electric vehicle, but I also own my home, installed a charger, and I do not have to wait in those charging lines. So it's a whole mouthful. So let's do it next week. And because I think I'll beat you, I want to get into my Audi e-tron. I want to go against your, what kind of car do you drive right now?
I drive a Kia. You're gonna beat me. It's a Kia Niro. It's,
But what's your future car?
right now? I don't know. Okay,
You had a Tesla. You had a couple of Teslas.
I've had two Teslas, and I got a Niro just because of the way that the Tesla market was going. So you're gonna beat me. It's just flat out. But I'm
just wanna beat
hoping that the new Model 3 is released here shortly, and I can get the Model 3 Ludicrous 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds.
Well, let's end the podcast with a question. And so you can make a comment on this podcast or on the YouTube. Tell me if you have an electric car, if you love or hate your electric car, or if you're looking at electric car, if you have any questions, because he worked for Tesla, and so he is the end all be all of knowledge. Like, he'll talk and I'll turn off because it gets so in depth. So we're gonna let you run with that one.
There's so many different things. And people tell me that you need to be an electrical engineer to understand electric cars. You don't need to be an electrical
Just have to be
engineer.
smart.
You just have to know numbers.
Well, and that in a future podcast, we're going to talk about solar, which is just the same. You're either for it, against it, or you have questions. So thank you once again, Tony, for coming on today. I hope it was fun.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Now you get to go and pack up and move some people. I like it.
Actually, I was getting blown up while we were filming anyway, so I gotta return these phone calls now.
Okay, good.
Have fun.
All right.
Great.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. See you next time.